It's March 6th, 2022. I'm watching Channel 2 news this morning, and on here it has this. They have a thing in New York, they call it mom and pop store. In socioeconomic standards, it would be more of like the Main Street USA project. The you have this metro area, but like in not as busy as like a Manhattan metro, a lesser pace metro on some scale that I'm unfamiliar with at this point. And so it's a slower scale, but still busy. It's not like a Long Island village. It's more of a metro village feel to it. And they have these stores on the bottom. Now, when I was little, and my grandfather was here, I only had one grandfather that I knew, which is the one from northern Italy, Yugoslavia, Albania area, Austria. So the main street, he always had the pork store. He'd have a little vino, which is wine, and then he'd have a little of the whatever from the the dried cured meats. That was like a delicacy for them. My mother's, my mother did not have her father growing up. So when my grandfather came here, although he spoke English not as well, but he spent a lot of time with me. So we would spend a lot of time in silence. I would just observe, and he would say small sentences to me because his language was not developed. And so this morning I'm watching. Well, actually, when I was in Patchogue, there was this pork store, which is the first time I'd seen a pork store in decades, because it's almost like this. The United States after the war, with the people coming over, they had this small shops and sense of community, and but it's as the years tick by and the decades tick by, for whatever reason they're dying off, they're not able to hold on. I don't really know, or there's an influx of something different. So in Patchogue there was a pork store by the Del Furies. They remind me a little bit of this particular story. I have not been to something, I don't really know Ridgewood very well, and I don't really know Queens. When you're in Queens, it's not like there's a directory that says, oh, well, this community is whatever based from elsewhere, heraldry wise, or ancestry wise. Like, there, I don't know of a place to go in order to learn the heritage. And by looks, I wouldn't know, because again, nobody teaches these things in public school. So when your people have died off, which mine have, and you're the only one left, and you know that, but how do you, like, how do you get adopted by someone else's relatives that are here, that are from the same area of your people elsewhere? That's what gets really confusing for me. I mean, you don't want to be imposing, but you also, you need some form of community. So that's in 20th century, decade 2, plus 2 years, it's like this disappearing Main Street USA that used to exist. Even in my own area, I mean, there's hardly, and there used to be a hardware store, a produce store, there was a butcher here. I mean, all these things have gone out. In fact, actually, the butcher here was called Westies. And they did a spot on the television about a man who actually is several generations into a pork store, which I thought was really an interesting mention. It's like this is the last of something that used to be expected when you moved to the metro area.
The old butcher saying was that here at Morsha's Pork Store we have bankers hours. We only work a half a day, from 6 in the morning until 6 o'clock. I'm Herbert Morsher. I've been a partner here since 1999, and I've worked for the company since 1981. Look, I'm making pork breakfast. I make real fashion ways.
Tell me, where are we today?
Oh, we are at Morsha's Pork Store, 5844 Catalpa Avenue, Ridgewood, New York.
And what is this place? How do you describe it to someone who's never been?
Old-fashioned butcher shop, mom and pop operation where we're manufacturing all of our bolognas, hot dogs, smoked meats from scratch and selling it over the counter, plus all the fresh cuts as well.
And tell me
And in Bayside Station or Bayside Village, I don't know why Westies went out. Again, I was out in Long Island when it closed, so the story behind how it closed, why it closed, I mean, theoretically, it's the meat store where you get your meats. Why would that ever close? Why inside the city is the small produce store and the small butcher not something? Why is the state and the city not making sure that the people have a place they can walk to for their goods and services? I mean, is that not part of running a state? Is that you take care of the people that are tenants within the state? Why would they, where are they spending this money? Because they're not spending it on education to the several generations going forward that have actually come here, that fought wars elsewhere, but somehow there's something going on. And then they're here, they're in these village type settings or metro settings, and they need places to buy goods and services as well as employment. I mean, everything, so the education's down, the potential for employment, the socioeconomics is just not working. It's been like completely knocked out by whatever's going on in poor ability to install the correct leadership to manage the people that are here. Instead, it's like they're starving them and chasing them out, and they're hiding in these spots that nobody knows. So this gentleman, and like I'm the last one of my own line. I mean, I have children, but I've already been knocked out of socioeconomic.
And tell me the origin of this place. How did it first get started?
It was from my cousin who started the business. My great uncle started the business in former Yugoslavia, which was Slovenia, an area called Koche. And then after the war, they migrated to the United States. And my uncle John.
I'm gonna be 86 next month.
Congratulations. Great. And what do you like about the job?
I lived in the butcher business all my life.
This is one of our holding boxes.
Whoa. You're never scared of getting locked in this room by accident?
Mark standing right now.
You can knock.
Let the door for us. There you go. What did I tell you? Very good.
So you speak German?
Ein bisschen Deutsch, ja, das muss. Wir müssen unsere Muttersprache nicht vergessen, meine Mutter hat immer gesagt. That means you can't forget your mother language. I was born here in the States. My mother was born here in the States, but we didn't speak German at home.
Wow, okay. And all of you have different languages represented.
Yes.
How do you think that helps
Oh,
business?
sure. When a customer comes into the store and they speak a certain language, you want the customer to feel comfortable. And speaking their language already cuts that and makes them feel at home.
How long have you been coming to Morsher's?
Since the early 60s.
Wow.
When I came to the United States.
Oh my God, from Austria.
Yeah.
And it seems like this place is a real fixture of the neighborhood. It's like a...
It's wonderful, really. His father was wonderful. I mean, Hurley's wonderful.
Hi.
Coming here for 50 years.
And what makes you love this place?
It's traditional food from our area where my folks lived in Slovenia.
I have bone-in holiday hams. One ham is about 20 pounds.
It has this amazing campfire smell from the wood. What is the secret to your success? How does businesses survive?
Yeah, the secret to our success, I always say, is that we always gave the people good value for their money. People work very hard for their money.
This business, you were saying, is your family tradition.
Yes.
So what gets really sad for me is the fact that even just day to day now, there are restaurants that I can't go to on the boulevard. People come from elsewhere. But the simple things, hardware store is still there, although it's a new hardware store. But the simple Main Street businesses that the old world knew and had, and then there was some form of gathering spot. They opened something called an evergreen, but it looked more Korean descent, and they had this, I don't know, and they would hide inside. Sometimes they'd leave the door open. They had billiards in there, long tables. It was their social gathering spot, but that was not here when I was little. That opened, and now it looks like somebody closed or shut it down. Again, I don't know, but they've closed the produce store, they've closed the pork store, they closed the young ladies' social club, where there was like a gathering spot, so you didn't have to go to the bars, respectable things. That's been closed down. And in fact, they knocked it down and they put more housing. So just in this area, that's been over the last 4 decades, the change so drastically from when my grandfather originally arrived until now. It's not for the better. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken. It's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.